today I'm going to show you how to make homemade bagels. The homemade bagels, you are going to practice this recipe in class because it's kind of a time-consuming recipe and it's nice to have some practice. But the reason we want you to know how to make these is we want to make homemade bagels for catering breakfasts. Maybe possibly we can bring them into Javicino and you can make them for Javicino. We can pretty much do whatever we want with them. And people are really impressed when we can make homemade bagels rather than buying them, at the grocery store. And we can make them and charge pretty much pennies for one bagel to our customers. So it's a great recipe and it's very simple. It just takes time with the dough of shaping and baking. So we're going to start off by making the dough, and this will be done on one day. Then you'll let it rise, and then we'll be shaping them. And with bagels, you shape them into like logs, and then you piece them together and you boil them, and then you bake them. So there's kind of a cool concept, something that's very helpful for you to know. So we'll start off by, bagels are yeast bread. So here's my yeast, my sugar to feed it. So I have 2 cups of my warm water. Remember 110 degrees, so you can tolerate it on your hand. And a 1/2 ounce of yeast, which you'll do on a scale, which is 0.5. So I'll put that right into there. And then I have 3 tablespoons of just regular granulated sugar to feed my yeast. And then now I'm just going to whisk this together. And we'll wait for it to proof. White bubbles is what you're looking for. And then in here, what I have combined is your recipe calls for 5 to 6 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. Because it's a bread recipe, you could use bread flour. It's just higher protein content, so it makes it a little bit harder of a dough. But all-purpose is fine. So right now in here, I have 4 cups of flour, and then I am going to add my salt. And I'm just going to mix that up before I put in, like so. And then you're going to use your dough hook attachment. And I am going to add my proof yeast in there when it's at its right consistency, so we'll be right back. And my yeast has proofed. It's pretty bubbly. It should get a little bit more bubbly, but for the purpose of time, I just, it's good to go. If I wait another minute, probably, like some of you will have foam that fills up the entire liquid measuring cup. All right, so just to recap, in my bowl, I have 4 cups of flour and I have my salt. And I'm going to start this on slow. And I'm going to gradually add in my yeast mixture. I'm just going to increase it just a little. And I'm just going to let it kind of come together a little bit on its own for about a minute. So it's starting to get kind of thick in the center, but I have all this flour on the side, so I'm just going to mix it a little bit, give it a little bit of help. You can see it's very, very wet, and that's normal because we're actually going to incorporate more flour. Really, really good. Now, a lot of bread recipes, I'm going to slow this down a little bit. A lot of bread recipes give you a range. So this particular bread recipe has you adding between 5 to 6 cups of flour. And then, so at first we added the 4 cups, and then it tells you to gradually add a little bit more flour at a time. Now the reason why you add a little more flour at a time, it just depends on how wet your dough still is. You have to make the judgment. It says 5 to 6, so I have 2 more cups already here. If I dump all this in, my dough's going to be too dry. So you add it gradually until it's stiff enough for you to work with. Okay, and because it's bagels, you don't want it that loose. So I'm going to stop it. I'm going to... It's still semi-wet. It's not as wet as you would think it would have been. So I am going to add in, this is 1 cup right here in this whole baggie. I am going to put in a 1/2 cup. And I'm going to mix it again and just see where I'm at. But where a lot of kids mess up these bread recipes is they add in the whole cup. And then they're like, not all the flour is incorporating. Well, that's because you added too much, so you have to do it gradually. So you just have to be patient. Be careful for the flour not to flow all over the place. And I'm going to let it just keep mixing until I have one big ball and the sides are completely clean and clear. So we'll be right back, and if you want to look at this, you can see that the dough formed a ball and it came off of the bowl. So I'm just going to take this off. And it says in your recipe you're going to finish this off by hand. I'm just going to I let it go for 5 minutes in there, so I really don't need to knead it anymore. I'm only going to put a little bit of flour down because this is a stiffer dough than what you're used to. So I'm just going to take this out, like so. And you want it to be pretty stiff. It should not be sticky. Just form it into a ball. I really don't need to work it anymore. Make sure. And then what you're going to do is when you make this for practice in class, you're going to get a baggie and you're going to put the dough in there, and it's going to really get big, and the air is going to expand the bag, and that's fine. But if you're making it for a catering event, because we have plenty of bowls. If 1 or 2 groups are making this, then you can put it in a bowl. But because when we're doing it in class for practice, we don't have enough bowls or space to hold them all. So what I'm going to do is we want to put that oil on it so we don't get a skin. And then I'm just going to press it down. And I'm going to let this rise. I'm going to let it rise at room temperature for about an hour. You're going to let it rise overnight and cool rise in the refrigerator. So we'll be back to show you the shaping, boiling, and baking. Alright, thank you. So this is day 2 of the bagel. So here's my dough. It is pretty much doubled in size. And I'm just going to punch it to release the air. I'm going to take this out. This is nice and soft because, again, I let this rise at room temperature. Yours will be not as easy to work with because yours will be cold. So what we're going to do is I just lightly floured my surface, and I'm just going to lay this out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 12 pieces. Now this is for regular size bagels. If you were making mini bagels, you could do this at 24. It kind of just depends on how many bagels you're planning on making. You want them about even, and I'm going to measure these by weight to make sure that they're all about the same. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is you're looking for each bagel to be about, you're going to form a ball. Okay, and I'm going to weigh this. And I want it to be, I'm going to put this on here. Let me just zero this out. Okay, I want this to be about 2.5, and I'm at 2.3. So, and I want it to be about 2.5. So I'm just going to add a little more, and that was way too, I'm good. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I am just going to just work with this a little. Okay, and what you'll do is you'll have your partner, and you'll put this here, and then you'll wait for it to shape, okay? So you'll keep going, you know, you'll weigh each one, make sure that they're all equal, because you want all the bagels to look the same. If they're all not 2.5 ounces, you'll have some bagels that are this big, some bagels that are this big, and you want consistency. That's key. So take your time with this process so that they all look the same, all right? So I'll be right back because I'm going to finish rolling these into balls, and then I'll show you. So we're back. So here is, I portioned the dough balls, and I had a bunch more, but I already shaped them just for the purpose of time. So what you're going to do is you are going to form this into like a log, like so, and it's going to go back and stretch, so it's fine. Just want it like so. So you're going to take the two ends and you're going to put them together, and to make them stick, you're just going to use a little bit of water and then press. Now if you just let it sit, they're going to come apart because you're going to boil them next. So you need to press, 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 and then you're going to have like a donut shape is what you're looking for, and then you just keep pressing until it's about the right shape that you're looking for. Because when it boils, if you don't press them enough, they come apart. So then I'm going to put them right on here. Okay, just like so. I'm going to set this right here. I'm going to show you one more. So I'm going to take it. So you can just take it, make your log. Take your little water, both sides, press it together. Press, 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 and then that one turned out okay. On both sides, make sure it's pressed together. We're good. And then I'm going to set them on my baking sheet. Now, you are going to bake these, but here's the unique characteristic of bagels. To start the baking process and to kind of smooth out the surface, you are going to boil these. Now you are going to boil them by putting 12 cups of water in a stock pot, just turning it up full blast so it's completely boiling, like so. And then you are going to boil these. Now, here's the problem that I've encountered when making these bagels. These need to set for a couple of minutes so that they kind of get puffy, okay? So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes and I'll show you how to boil. Alright, so we're back and my bagels have proofed, so now I'm going to set them into the boiling water. I've already boiled some of them to speed up the process for you, so you're just going to take this, you're going to set that right in, and they're going to boil for about a minute. So you put them in, only do about 3 or 4 at a time. And then in the meantime, I am putting cornmeal down on my sheet pan, and this is just going to prevent the bagels from sticking. You always see cornmeal at the bottom of bagels, or like that gritty stuff, that's cornmeal. Okay, so now when you're watching this, you can use tongs, but they kind of break the bread a little bit when you're boiling them. So I used just a turner, and you're going to flip them over. And you're just waiting. They're not going to puff up too much. You definitely see that they're getting a little bit bigger, but it's really just to hold them together. Okay. So here, as we're waiting for them to cook, here I have all of these bagels are cooked, or they were boiled. They haven't been baked yet. And you're just going to line them up on your pan. And these are just plain bagels. Okay, so these ones are pretty good to go. So I'm going to take them out. Just set that right on there. Flip that one over to that. And then here's that one. We're good. Turn this off. Okay, now what you're going to do is you want them to look golden brown. So to do that, you're just going to put a little bit of egg on them. So I just took one egg, and I'm going to take my pastry brush. I'm just going to coat them, and this is going to help them get that nice golden brown color that you are familiar with when you buy bagels. Because when you look at them right now, you're like, yeah, they look like bagels, but they don't always look exactly what you think they should. So this is going to help them look much more professional and what you're used to. Good, almost done. Now, you can put toppings on these. You can sprinkle these with Asiago cheese. That would match this recipe just fine. You can sprinkle it on right on top of the egg, and that the egg will help also adhere any topping. Now, if you wanted to make like chocolate chip bagels or something, I would not use this exact recipe, or practice first before you go about, you know, mixing something into the dough. Because a lot of times the dough is going to vary with fat or things like that. You can also, another topping would be like salt, caramelized onions, sesame seeds. So I'm going to sprinkle one of these with sesame seeds just so you can kind of see. And then they'll get nice and toasty. I'll do a couple with sesame seeds because I have a lot in my hand. Okay, just like so. And then now these are ready to go in the oven. We're going to bake these at 400 degrees, and they're going to bake for about, it says to bake them at like 5 minutes, and then check them, and then another 30 minutes. Okay? So I just took the bagels out of the oven. You can see that they're a beautiful shade of golden brown. Just to make sure that they're done, these are very hot. You just want to check the bottom. Also semi-golden brown on the bottom. And you want to wait for these to cool, obviously, before you consume them. Usually, for a catering event, you'll make these the day in advance, and then you'll just reheat them the next day. Just lightly warm them up. You can also toast them and whatnot, like just as a normal bagel. So, enjoy. Thank you.